We're going to go ahead and get started. Just as a reminder, we have a hashtag to be used that you can use on Google Plus, or Facebook, or Twitter, Instagram. It's hashtag Fluid Web Series, and we will. This is part of our continuing webinar series at Fluid, and we appreciate you joining us today on Show Me the Money. And really, today's focus is to ensure that the marketing activities that you're doing are not only driving results, but that you have visibility in your jobs and you can be sharing that with others as to the good things that are happening. So with that, we are going to kick things off here and just at least a little bit of background in talking through this. And it's important to note that multi-channel marketing is hard. Because you're often in a marketing position trying so many things to get results. You wonder and say, well, what really is having an impact? There's a quote from an ad man to say, half of what you're doing in marketing actually works. The problem is we don't know what 50% is actually working. With today's technology, and especially in the digital realm that we exist in now, today it is possible tracking and being able to know where return on investment is coming from is possible through a lot of technologies, and it allows you to really know where to invest your money and where your focuses ought to be. I know that with digital technology today, some marketers are overwhelmed. You're being handed and bombarded with information, both phone calls and emails, and probably from your boss or among others on your team simply saying, this is how we think you ought to be doing things, and you're saying, no, that doesn't work. And so with that, we want to touch on a few key statistics. Number one, 76% of marketers think that market has changed more in the past 2 years than in the past 50. That's a pretty steep learning curve. And you might be in your position for several years or even decades or even new to that position, but because there's such a rapid rate of learning, stay ahead is difficult. And so much is changing with technology that you really have to pick and choose to say, where do I want to invest my time and how can I increase my skill set where it matters? Secondly, marketers are under increasing pressure to deliver a return on investment more than ever, especially as we have recovered from this economic downturn to a certain extent, and businesses are starting to spend a little bit more money. They're more cautious. And especially owners and managers are saying, if I am spending money, I want to make sure that that investment is seen and sure. And so 65% of marketing professionals feel more pressure to show a return on investment than prior to this downturn. Most marketers aren't focused on a return on investment. 7% of marketers say that they're not basing their marketing budget distribution any type of ROI analysis. And that's really where we'd like to get to today, is to say, how do you know where to spend your money and what return you're getting and how that's impacting the organization. And to make what seems impossible possible, and having an attitude that you can do it, and really with the right tools and analytics and tracking, we're convinced know that it is possible. With that, there are solutions. Some of these are intangibles, but some of the key principles we want to hit on is having focus, planning, and then ultimately pig-headed discipline. That none of this will ever get done unless we're absolutely stubborn in our resolve to steady the course and see it through. First, in regards to focus, it's interesting. Often organizations will ask us, well, where should I spend my marketing dollars? I have $15,000 to spend this month. And we found that sometimes those budgets are carved up by particularly 10 or 15 different marketing activities with very little being spent in one channel of focus. And so one thing that we try to teach and instruct in is that with focus, it means that you have to see through what you've begun and try a channel for several weeks and months to ensure that you're getting a full return on investment, but you have to be focused and potentially do less in a less variety of channels than more. And so better often than to carve up a $15,000 budget a month, 15 ways to look at the best 4 or 5 opportunities as to what that will entail.
You know, this is an interesting. I actually had a chance to sit and talk with the CMO of Symantec, and we were talking about lead generation specifically, but she brought up a story about how one of her sales reps had come to her all excited about having all of the calls from the list that he had made that day, or he had had that day. And the CMO looked at him and be like, which ones did you focus on? And he said, I just called them all like you wanted me to. And rather than being very pleased, she was a little bit concerned. In hopes had been he would have focused on the top priority leads and then actually moved on to the next day's top priority leads. So they're actually contacting people who are closer to the end of the funnel rather than just churning through leads. And so I thought it was a really interesting example of what CMOs in general are looking for as far as focusing, and how we really want to focus on the people close to the bottom of the funnel rather than just everything all at once.
With that, there's another a client that we're working with currently that they really go after Fortune 1000 companies, fairly large brands nationally and globally. And for them, for years, their focus has been, we want to rank online on Google. We want to bring more people in the door for certain keywords. But they tend to find that there's really only about 500 key accounts that they really want to focus on each year that have the biggest impact to sales. And if they can close 5 or 6 of those potentially, that's going to pay huge dividends. And so their focus is, rather than to simply get more people, it's to get the right people and to focus on those that will have the largest impact to the organization, because they potentially could go after tens of thousands of people every month as a marketing organization through various tactics. And what their focus is now is merely 500. And how do we get in front of those 500 over the next year that will have them want to engage and become a client? So then shifting to planning. In regards to planning, you first, of course, start with a marketing plan. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but you look in your planning to say, okay, I have my marketing plan. I then set meetings. My schedule should ensure that my focus and time is spent in the best manner possible. And of course, make assignments and delegating here in as much as you're not able to do everything yourself.
Yeah, one of the questions I always ask people are, when was the last time you looked at your marketing plan? We're coming to the end of Q1, and oftentimes people will have developed this Q4 at some point, and they won't have picked it up again. And so pay attention to the marketing plan. It's one of the most important documents that you can have. You developed it for a reason, and it really is a great outline. And so oftentimes when that thing is shelved away, we might want to pull it out and put it somewhere where we can look at it. Meetings and schedules and assignments as well. That stuff should be done weekly with your entire team. And so just really emphasize the plan that you've put in place and paying attention to it.
Learning. We hope that our monthly webinars going forward will be a good opportunity for that kind of continuing education as technology rapidly changes. But we found, especially for us, we look a lot to blogs and articles, those thought leaders and influencers in our industries, and especially for the various industries you're involved with. This idea of new online universities, that if you're using Google Analytics or AdWords or providers or various software, there's a quite extensive knowledge base that you can tap into with a lot of good video tutorials and a lot of engaging information. It does take time. You have to be disciplined in setting aside, maybe an hour a week, but it does pay off because it allows you to really innovate and ahead of the curve in your marketing tactics that you're considering. And learning, the how-to learning side of things, both .com and Treehouse are excellent resources. Monthly subscriptions are fairly inexpensive, but there's a lot of incredible content there, both on the creative side to marketing tactics and strategy, as well as to more technical type items, from web development to digital marketing, analytics, etc. So those are each excellent resources. That's been a large emphasis here at Fluid, and we found that ever in one training, or let's say you go and attend a conference, pay thousands of dollars in a few states away, and you come back and you're all jazzed. And after a week or two, you're kind of on that high of we're going to see great things happen. I have all of these ideas, but you find that yourself and those whom you work with, typically after a week or two, kind of fall back into a rut of how you've always done things, and really change and influence behavior. It takes continued training, almost weekly, and that's something we started to implement at Fluid, is weekly, consistent training on those key core topics where you're overwhelming, you're not trying to do too much, but simple principles that you're seeking to enact that will have large impacts on the organization. Training, informal coaching, we found to be truly, kind of key on that. So if you have a marketing team and others, you're trying to catch them up to speed, coaching is one of the best methods of teaching, and numerous studies have come out in the several years that have kind of verified that as well.
I think training your own employee in the marketing group specifically is just one aspect of it. Here, we think it's really important that you actually need to train up, meaning that you need to train to your executive team and those that matter. Oftentimes, they really don't understand what it is you do or the value of it. You really need to be sending them articles that show them the efficacy and the meaning behind it. And you can, look to Fluid's blog. There's a number of other great marketing blogs out there. SEO Moz does a good job. HubSpot is one of the best bloggers there is. And they really offer the support that you guys need in the education field to let your executives know this is why we're doing it, so that when you are sitting in the meeting fighting for your budget dollars, they're already kind of on board. You don't want to go into your executives with them not understanding the platform and just basically being cold. I often tell people of a somewhat embarrassing story, but I once went into my budget meeting really fighting for recruiting video. I mean, recruiting video alone, the ability for it to show culture is probably one of the most important things that you could have for doing recruiting conversions. Not to mention the SEO value of it, the content marketing factor being shared on your blog, on YouTube, all the different social platforms. There's really just no reason why you shouldn't have a recruiting video. But I haven't really trained my team and my executive staff as to why it was. And basically asking turned into begging, and begging turned into groveling, and it ultimately ended with a no. And I lost that battle, although even to this day I feel strongly that's one of the best recruiting tools you could have. And I took from that I really needed to educate my group as to why that was so valuable, rather than looking at a price and not understanding all the different places it could go and what it could do. So we think training your executives is really wise. And then secondly, training your sales group is probably one of the most important things. And talking about conversion, we really want to discuss as are letting your sales staff know what marketing tactics you're doing. Are you letting them know when an email blast goes out? Are you letting them know you have banners? Are you letting them know what phone numbers you're listing? I think today you guys could all go and just have a conversation with your sales group and know how important it is to follow up on leads and the amount of time they should follow up on leads, how quickly and how important that is. And so those are groups, in addition to your own departments, that I think training really applies to, and we encourage you guys to even look at it today and see how you might improve those areas.
That original list of pig-headed discipline, and when we think about pig-headed discipline, we think about relentless focus. That as you have a sales goal, as you have an objective, and determined to reach, ROI key indicators or to achieve a certain aspect of your marketing plan, that you, with relentless and pig-headed discipline, actively drive down that and stick to the plan, practice. There's never too much to ensure that in both the sales presentation side, following up for marketing leads, and even in marketing, that you're spending that time in practice. Any Olympic athlete will tell you that practice and continued discipline is really what made the difference and allowed them to achieve greatness. To kind of shift to some surveys that we want to do a little bit of polling, and Dustin's going to introduce on how to do that.
We'll go ahead and launch the first survey. Guys, and we'll give you a couple minutes here. Says have about 5 minutes or so, but we'll probably shorten that just a bit. If you guys want to just quickly go on and answer, what are the tactics you're currently using? We'll take a few more seconds here. People are done. We'll go ahead and close this poll. And question for you guys, we're going to give you opportunity to rate yourselves kind of where your own activities are at. And so give me one minute and we will go ahead and open this poll up to you guys. We'll be honest here. We know it's kind of hard, but most marketers, it's hard. Even for us, we judge and we send our own surveys to our clients all the time, hoping to understand where we might have shortcomings and how we can improve in the future. Think about here. And one more. Looks like most people are in. We'll go ahead and close this poll. We're going to go ahead and aggregate the results and send them to you as we finish up the webinar. So you guys will get those in a follow-up email. We're going to go into just getting more leads and generating higher revenue. This is the tangible parts of what you probably came to listen to us about. And so let's talk about some of the key channels of digital marketing. First on this, just really briefly, but at this point, desktop and mobile need to be working together. You guys are probably incredibly aware of that, and you may not know how to do that. Fluid will be doing another webinar down the road specifically about these topics and mobile specifically. But at this time, we just want to let you know that if you're not aware of mobile and the integration that it has with desktop, you should start doing some research on it. Google just came out with a mobile-friendly tag, and that tag's going to be really important moving forward with SEO and just generating click-throughs for your site. And so when we talk conversion, that's going to be a factor for you to make sure that you're generating the right traffic and that it's optimized for the device the user is on. When we talk conversion channels, there is, just a wide variety of them. And here's kind of where we come back to focus. We don't necessarily do everything. We choose the ones that can have the biggest impact. And with that, we kind of define them to have immediate results and then long-term results. And so here we show some of the practices that you can implement right away that can have an immediate impact on your bottom line and can really show the results that you're looking for on a month-to-month basis, where you're having budget meetings and checking in with the powers that be, that you can show them some good results really quickly, and you can get yourself off the ground and running. Some long-term opportunities that we think all companies should be employing. These don't always have the quick hits, but their importance towards conversion are really major factors of driving the right kind of traffic. A/B testing is one of those practices that is ongoing, and you'll see we call A/B testing always B testing. SEO is one of the practices we hear from our clients all the time that they want to get going, but oftentimes they don't understand that it can be a 3, 6, 9, even year-long process, and so that's something to be aware of as you're planning your tactics. But it's definitely something that you need to have, and a lot of these benefit from timing. So starting now is always good. And we're going to each of these as we move forward. So we'll jump into it. A/B testing in the marketing world stands for always be testing, and basically this applies to your email campaigns, whether it be testing your subject line or testing your call to actions. You should be testing your website to determine if users are following along or taking it, per se, the way that you want them to. If the page itself is actually converting, can you make small changes, whether it's the navigation bar, location of images, the value proposition, or call to action, whatever it might be. Let's play with where those are so that we can help your visitors find them as quickly as possible and end up really the action that you are trying to get them to do. Start campaigns. As you can see, this is your bread and butter. Everybody should be doing an email campaign. Email campaigns are free. There's a number of ESPs that allow you to generate really professional-looking emails, and they give you all of the tracking that we're going to talk about later on. But this is a surefire way to generate traffic to your website and improve conversions. So if you're not doing email, probably everybody should look at how they can start that program.
And what are some of the best email service providers that you'd recommend?
I would say MailChimp is on par with better applications or platforms. iContact, Constant Contact are also good. In our next slide, I think, as backwards, let's see. I think we have a picture a little later on in the slide deck that we actually show those, but MailChimp is one that everybody can get on really quickly, and it's free to send up to 2,000 emails on it, and it will give you all the statistics that you're looking for. So that's one we really suggest.
One thing with email campaigns, it's such a great opportunity because it's typically to individuals that are already your customers or that have already gotten to know you and trust you. And you have their email address, and you'll find that those are some of the highest yielding marketing activities that you'll ever do. A serious marketing study that's been done over the last decade continues to prove out that organizations have effective email campaigns with good content or information that's educational and of value, that higher yield for greater front-of-mind awareness, for generation, for quotes requested, for e-commerce sales and almost anything else. That touches people in a personal way and really drives the type of results that you're hoping for. So if you're not doing email, as Dustin said, you got to consider that fairly seriously.
Absolutely. And we're here to help you get more conversions. And so we want to talk through a couple high points as to how you can do that. For email, the most important elements is the from. Often people overlook this. They'll send from info at or marketing at or some other similar email address, but it's not really coming from a person. And people really don't want to open emails that look like spam. And so if they see your from line as something that's generic and not specific to an individual, it's a way for you to get deleted before ever opening. On the other side, the to. Who are they going to reply to? If they're replying to no reply at, that's really a very encouraging way to give engagement. They're not going to send any questions back. If they want follow-up, they can't. And so we encourage you, when you set your tos, to actually set to a real person, and so that somebody can actually answer those responses and hopefully turn those responses into leads. Second is the subject line. 35% of people open the all email based on the subject line. I encourage you to keep your subject line incredibly short. I try to do 3 to 4 words at the very most and just boil down the concept of the email as quickly as possible. Oftentimes people will put an entire sentence in or take the first sentence from the header, but that's really not going to help with your open rate. And so I encourage you guys to work to boil this down into a succinct 2, 3, even 4-word subject line. And again, here's a great opportunity for you to A/B test. You can test long ones and short ones and see what your open rates are. The data will prove that out. Text for HTML. We all love HTML because we think it's pretty. You know, you show it to your boss and they love how professional it looks. The fact is, HTML is blocked by most email providers. Right now, email is one of the harder things to conquer simply because there are so many different providers and they all have so many different rules. And so we encourage you, if it's not necessary to have a lot of pictures, to simplify it. Send a text email. If you were to sit down and send an email to one of your friends, would you have all these block images and hyperlinks going everywhere? You probably wouldn't. You'd probably just shoot them a short paragraph message with one call to action asking them to do something. I encourage you to do that with your own email where you can, and notice that you don't get a lot better click-through rate on your emails as they go. Responsive versus set with. We talk a lot about responsive design in our websites, and it's an absolute necessity when it comes to website building and mobile. A little bit different. Because, again, the email providers don't respond the same, they often account a lot of the code that you put in with responsive. It's not always the best method to use, and so set with, and a lot of the times at about 600, 650 pixels, is the best way to send an email. If you look at most all of the big email senders, they actually send set with emails, and so email is one of the areas that's kind of lagging when it comes to marketing. It just hasn't caught up with a lot of what you can do with websites and mobile and all the other devices, and so we encourage you to keep email simple. And then lastly, start sending a newsletter, whether it's monthly, bi-monthly, whatever it is, send some kind of touch point to the clients you have. And for those of you who don't really have clients, rent is an incredibly good option for you. Renting is economical and can reach a large number of extremely targeted visitors who want your product but simply may not know about you. They may not be searching for you and may not have any other way of reaching them. And so Rent will give you access to those contacts and can prove, super value with email conversions. And so that's something that really affects your bottom line immediately. 35% of email recipients open an email based on the subject line. We really encourage you to focus on those. This is a really popular topic right now.
And if you're not sure what retargeting is, it's that creepy ad that continues to follow you over the internet. So when I shop for my wife and try to get her some sort of gift for Christmas, I continue to see, female clothing or jewelry again and again and again in the months of November and December that I can't seem to shake. And so I think we all kind of understand retargeting, and I think Dustin here is going to explain a little bit about retargeting, but maybe with a little bit of sophistication behind it.
Absolutely, and Phil's right. Most of us now recognize it. Most of us are all a little bit creeped out by it, but the numbers don't lie. The percent of users who return and complete the checkout process increases 26%. That's a whole quarter. That is a significant number, and these are the kinds of things we want you to take back when you're considering doing these kinds of practices. This is going to affect your bottom line. 70% of web visitors who are retargeted with these ads are likely to convert on your website. We're here to help you convert, and retargeting is one of those methods that's just a guaranteed win. A couple just explanations of the different kinds of targeting you can do. Retargeting is where you're actually retargeting to the people who've already visited your site. The conversion rate here is really high, and it's a little bit different than search retargeting. Search retargeting is where visitors may not have visited your site, but you still want to attract them, and so you're going to send an ad to them and bring them back to your site based on the search that they've completed on Google or some other search engine. Then e-targeting is something not a lot of people know about, but if you have a large database of emails, I highly encourage you to get involved with email retargeting. You can actually do a data dump of your email lists, and through our network partners, you can actually match those emails to IP addresses and a couple other attributes, and you can start to send them ads specific to emails that you've sent. And so this is a great way to target. Retargeting, we probably all have known and recognize Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all are doing social retargeting now. Another great way to reach an audience that you might not have converted on your site. I'm a huge advocate of landing pages. Oftentimes people send out their email campaigns or their banner ads, and they just send them to a generic product page or a generic, or their home page. But to be honest, that's not a conversion page. You need to match the copy of your ads and your email copy to the landing page a visitor hits. And so just a couple of statistics. Again, the percentage of users who return and complete the check process increases. Oh, so I think we have the numbers here. we'll move on. But the fact is, landing pages are one of the most effective ways for you to generate new leads and actually have the call to action right there, specific to the ad you went. And so if you guys aren't doing landing page development, I highly encourage you to. There's a couple programs that allow you to that are pretty quick and easy. The second is content marketing. This is one of the harder sells for you guys, just because oftentimes people write blogs and they churn out all this content and they don't really know what it's for. Content marketing is effective. It actually generates 3 times as many leads as traditional outbound marketing and costs 62% less. Those two numbers I don't think any executive or person who controls the budget is going to complain about.
I find with content marketing, it's half the battle to get the content written. Most individuals will simply publish it on their website alone, and that's kind of only the first step of several for content marketing, because you need to go out and promote it through various publishing platforms, social media, and other ways to uniquely reach your target audience and actually market the content you've created. And that will be most likely a topic we'll spend some time on in the future.
SEO is kind of a long play. It's something every website should be built with, both on-site and then what is kind of the 2.0 of SEO, which is layered link building. Layered building is kind of the white way best practice for SEO. And what layered link building is building out links that go to your website, but also having other websites that generate authority, but also then point back to your home page. And so you will have tier 1, which is kind of your website, and then you'll have tier 2, which might be a blog, might be a YouTube channel, can be any kind of website, but you actually start driving traffic direct to your tier 2 sites, so they push authority to your tier 1 site, which is your website. It's hugely effective. It does take a little bit of time, but we encourage you guys to all start looking into it, and don't let other SEO people who say they can get you a bunch of links right away fool you. That's not the way anymore. Google is punishing sites for doing that. Layered link building is kind of the way to do SEO properly these days. I'll do one more survey here, we just know if you could launch one of these campaigns immediately, what would that campaign be? So I'll get this up to you. And the poll guys about a minute to complete this. All right, looks like we're all pretty much done there. We'll go ahead and close the poll. One of the parts you guys have really come for, and that's just tracking all these marketing efforts. You might be able to do a lot of this, but actually knowing where your ROI is coming from might be getting lost. And so we're going to show you a couple quick tips and tricks and some programs that you ought to be using that will really help you define where your revenue is coming from. Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics on your site, you need to start today. Google Analytics is by far the best tool you can have for tracking the traffic you have. In addition to that, Google Analytics offers you goals, and so you can actually set up different goals depending on if it's completing a web form, if it's submitting or actually making a purchase, whatever it is, you can actually build those goals into Google Analytics, and that's something you guys really should look into. If you don't already have goals, do research and find out how you can do it. It is a learning process, but it will be well worth it, and it will be the answer to a lot of the questions that you're looking to as far as where is your revenue coming from. Kind of an extension of Google Analytics is the Google Tag Manager. Google Tag Manager allows you to launch cookies onto users, and it helps you basically identify attributes of your users, age, demographics, different attributes of the users on your site, and then it actually aggregates all of that data for you. And lastly, it allows you to actually set those goals within Google Analytics. The important part is you can use Tag Manager across your site rather than having to put a bunch of different codes onto the site. And so Google Tag Manager kind of aggregates all of that for you, and it's a fabulous solution for determining what your goals are and if you're actually completing them.
If you're spending any sort of money online, Google Tag Manager is an excellent way to almost immediately, with the proper setup, what channels are effectively working, carrying that through the conversion funnel, and it really gives you an opportunity to be sophisticated about what you're spending money on and where you're getting a return on your investment.
Email service providers, ESPs. If you're not already using one, I would suggest getting on one. And again, here are a few that we would suggest. We would lean towards MailChimp just because it integrates with a lot of other platforms. And so if you have a CRM or marketing automation, you might want to just check on the ESP that you use and so that it integrates with the other platforms that you have. ESPs will allow you to track the opens that you get, the click rates, and a number of other statistics that are critical for you to successfully send emails. It also generates fantastic reports you can send out to your team, and you can kind of use that to compare over time whether one subject line is working better, if email sent at a specific time work better than other times. Really gives you a lot of insights that will help you convert down the road, and is giving you that data it's invisible as once you blast an email, where did it go, who opened it, and all those good things. And so start into an email service provider if you haven't already. Capture form. This is one of the most simple and straightforward tags that we can offer, but I can't tell you how many websites that I do conversion audits on. They don't have a call to action, and more importantly, they don't have a contact form on their site. This is just, it's a miss for any company, and so I encourage you to do a review of the pages that you have and make sure that you're giving people an opportunity to give you their information. You want to analyze if you want that contact to be a phone number or a contact capture form. Oftentimes we encourage you to do a content capture form because if you get a phone number and you don't answer, you don't have any information on them. If they can send their email, you can do drip campaigns and you can do other follow-up after that. I just wanted to show you a few of the critical components here. What's most important here is the submit button. If you have a submit button, it often decreases your conversions. And so we encourage you to come up with a better word than submit and keep it clever and make sure that it matches the rest of the copy on your landing page. Content. Here's another opportunity that I see a lot of people miss out on. Not all content needs to be gated, and oftentimes we want to give away freebies, but there is often content that people are willing to give you an email or a phone number receive, and so let's take advantage of that. Rather than just letting everybody have free reign, you can simply put a gate on any form, and that will allow you to get some more contact information, and you can do follow-up. An important use of a gated content is to get their email, and then you can actually email the same content that they've just downloaded, and that makes it shareable, and so you can actually forward it on to other people who may be interested, and this really increases your engagement. Tags. This is maybe a well-known feature, but a query tag is a really simple way for you to change the URL that you're putting on your campaigns, whether it's an email campaign, a banner ad, whatever it is. When people click, rather than it clicking strictly to www.yoursite.com, add a question mark and the tail end of this query, and you can easily Google query tags and find out how to write one. But that'll help in Google Analytics actually sort out the different campaigns that you have, where you may not be able to get Google Tag Manager going right away, or you might have goals set up. This is a way for you to actually aggregate certain traffic from a certain campaign. And so we encourage you to learn how and to use query tags. And tracking, in all the companies that I've ever worked for, this is probably one of the hardest things to do and one of the most frustrating parts. We talked about your communication with sales and having sales help you close the loop. If you have a phone call, usually that goes to a salesperson who isn't identifying that as a marketing lead, and the revenue from that opportunity is lost. There are tracking softwares out there. There are some really robust call tracking softwares. They're not incredibly expensive, and they can really help you understand the other piece, which is the calling of your revenue that you're missing. And so we can do it with email, we can do it with gated forms, and if they do the conversion online, you're going to know that revenue. But if somebody does it with a pen and a paper, it's lost, and half the time you're probably losing a large percentage of your revenue through calls. And so if you have questions about this is something Fluid can help you with and point you in the right direction for really great providers and even help you set up.
The providers we're beginning to work with now, if you have any sort of customer relationship manager such as Salesforce or marketing automation software such as Pardot, Marketo, Acton, interesting that they're able to actually intelligently, based on a phone call, know exactly what type of content or what the next action should be for that individual. So let's say on the phone with somebody that calls in from the website or some sort of marketing campaign, and if they seem frustrated or certain words that were negative, the systems would automatically kick up an email to say, we're going to discount, this next month for you at 10%, or there was an upsell discussed in a certain product, the system, just based on what it hears and the data collected from that conversation, will actually kick out a response to automatically have a new offer sent to that individual. So there's some really exciting things happening from a data perspective with call tracking too.
Kind of the platform that brings all of this together is marketing automation. There's a lot of companies who are getting ready to go on marketing automation. There's a lot of companies currently using marketing automation. But marketing automation is the tool that kind of pulls in all the different marketing activities into a single platform, lets you aggregate the data, allows you to send out of one platform. I can send all of my emails out of it. I can build my landing pages. I can do my gated forms, all of the different conversion tactics we've talked about today. Marketing automation is kind of the master tool for it all. Marketing automation does take a little bit of investment, and there is a little bit of, I guess, lead up with it, but it's one of the things I really encourage companies to start learning about and to begin getting involved with. The really special things about marketing automation is right now you're probably hearing a lot about user profiling and segmentation. Marketing automation really makes that stuff possible. You can deliver different messages to different audiences, and that is right now one of the #1 things that users are asking for, and one of the best drivers for conversions. And so we know a lot about marketing automation and can help you get this set up and can help you pick the correct automation program for you guys if you think your company is at that point. Basically, goals are key to improve productivity. We hope we've introduced you to a few of those tools here today, but these are the tools that really can change your marketing departments and turn you into a converting department for your company.
Hey, Shannon Adams, we appreciate this. Plan Plus Online, I've interfaced with them as well. They're an excellent technology, and they're great marketing automation software that can be integrated with a customer relationship manager too. And
Shannon, you may not know this, but I've worked extensively on Plan Plus with a past company that I worked as the marketing manager for. Very familiar with Plan Plus. I love the customization. Great option for you guys out there, and the price point is pretty much unbeatable. So if you are looking at it, that it also is a great opportunity.
Closing, we appreciate your time today. It's interesting running a fairly robust campaign right now for a state-related government. Now, it looks like you can hear us. Wonderful. I was just suggesting that one of the recent success stories we're in the midst of right now, but for Keep It Save It, a program to help those of disadvantaged status or less income, poverty level, to still complete their taxes and get tax returns. We're tracking about 22% ahead of where they were last year, utilizing these tactics and strategies. And these are effective medians, and we know and are able to effectively track, measure, and analyze which channels had the most impact and a greater ROI. So we certainly appreciate you taking some time. I believe we have one last survey before we go that Dustin wanted to put up here.
So we'll do this real quick. Send us your comments on this, and we'll start to understand a little bit about the tracking mechanisms that you guys are most interested in. Good. I think we've all completed it. We'll go ahead and close that. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found some value in today's webinar, and hopefully you have some tips and tricks as far as conversion and tracking ROI go that you can take back to your teams and implement immediately. If you have any questions, we're going to have to, just due to time, we'll probably go ahead and skip the Q&A today, but please send any questions you have to us through email. You can reach us both at dustin@getfluid.com and phil@getfluid.com. And additionally, we'll be sending a follow-up email with all the results of the surveys and a couple of the short synopsis of the webinar, so you can respond directly to that as well.
And we'll make this webinar slide deck available if it's of benefit to you as you're considering marketing strategies and to present your return on investment to those in senior management. So thank you, and we look forward to joining with you next month. We'll continue to host webinars the fourth week of each month, and we'll be sending out updates and topics via email here in the next week or two. So thank you again for your time, and we look forward to joining you next month.